Jeff from Charlotte asked, how many coaches and staffs are shaking in their boots today after what happened to Pat Fitzgerald? Fitzgerald's out at Northwestern, well documented, and he's out because of allegations of hazing. And I think even people who are totally ignorant to college football know that the odds indicate with this many programs out there and that many kids in this many programs, Northwestern's probably not the only place where they've had incidents with hazing and trouble with hazing. And you would be right about that. I can tell you that over the past 2 days, any coaches I've spoken to, and especially administrative types that I've spoken to, they're not so much talking about whether Fitzgerald should keep his job or not. That is not the lead topic. That may be 2 or 3. Topic number 1 is, are we okay? Are we safe at fill-in-the-blank university and fill-in-the-blank state university? Are we good? Do we have any of this in our past? Because it's not just the egregiousness you have to worry about. It's not just the over-the-top, very clear, fireable offense stuff you have to worry about. You also, and I'm just echoing what they've told me, you have to go and do this thorough forensic analysis of your memory of everything you've ever been privy to and had knowledge of in your program that maybe you didn't even take serious at the time, and it was 4 years ago or 6 years ago or 6 months ago, and all of a sudden you're thinking, I didn't think that was that big a deal. However, I have knowledge of it. And number 2, if someone took it another way, could they verbalize that experience to a student newspaper or to a website or just their own personal account on their social media channels? Could they document that experience in a way that makes us sound way worse than I think we are? The answer is yes, that can happen. And the answer is yes, those conversations are happening in every major athletic department, and it's the worst time for it to happen. Because I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's July 11th as we're recording this. Pretty much every coaching staff's on vacation right now. Every one of them take the second week in July and sometimes the third week in July, and they're gone. And then all of a sudden a scandal breaks and a head coach gets fired, and the ripple effects could reach you, and you're down in the Bahamas or you're over in Italy, and all of a sudden you're on the Amalfi Coast in a different time zone, half a world away, talking to your SID who's also on vacation about whether we're covered on this front and whether that thing that happened 2 years ago, could that bubble back up? I thought we took care of that. I'm just giving you the real picture. Yes, those conversations are happening everywhere. And it's going to be a touch and go next month or so, because I could easily see this not being the last of the hazing allegations that come out. Let me ask you, so if we fast forward to September and we have 2 months of hindsight on this now, what do you think is more likely? Do you think it's more likely that the Northwestern hazing story happened and then it stayed isolated and whatever occurred and they fired their head coach and they hired a new one and it just goes away and it sinks in the distance? Or do you think that you look back in September and say, wow, remember 2 months ago when that Northwestern hazing story came out? And then we didn't know it at the time, but that was just the beginning. And there was then this whole wave of hazing allegations. I don't have any knowledge, by the way, of any story that's about to break. I would think it's probably statistically more likely that we get more stories than the likelihood that we don't hear any more about hazing. So, and then that takes us down this whole other road of hazing. What is hazing? What isn't? What's playful and acceptable versus what is egregious and way over the line? What happened back in my day? How irrelevant is the back in my day portion of the conversation? All sorts of fun things that have nothing whatsoever to do with football.